Hello, I'm Lorette Ligon, President of the Jacksonville Onslow Chamber of Commerce. And on behalf of the Chamber membership and our Board of Directors, I want to thank you for joining us for our Forum Onslow. The Chamber works with government agencies on issues that affect our business community. We monitor legislative issues that impact our local businesses. We promote partnerships between business, military, and education. And we use these forums to create awareness on topics that are important to the entire community, such as the election of those that represent us on the state and local level. We are pleased to have Duke Energy as the sponsor of this Meet the Candidates Forum. Derek Reamer is the District Manager for Duke Energy NC Government and Community Relations. Now, Derek's territory is Onslow, Jones, Pitt, Carteret, Duplin, Wayne, Lenoir, Craven, Pamlico, Beaufort, and Greene counties. So as you can imagine, he's a busy man. But he did record a message for you today.
Hello and welcome, candidates. I am Derek Reamer, your District Manager for Government and Community Relations for Duke Energy. We are proud to sponsor these candidate forums and thank the Chamber of Commerce for working hard to make sure you're given this opportunity. At Duke Energy, I'm excited about informing the community of the Carolinas Carbon Plan, which will focus on reducing our carbon emissions by 70% by 2030 and going net zero by 2050. The commitment to creating a cleaner environment will include transformative and innovative strategies like renewables and grid investments. A recent example of this can be seen at the existing solar facility at Camp Lejeune, where we will soon be adding large-scale battery storage to supplement the solar facility for when the sun isn't shining. This will help with not only a cleaner energy solution, but our resiliency efforts as well. Having worked in government for a number of years, I want to express my personal thanks to you and your families for your willingness to serve. It's not an easy decision to enter into public service, but know that we thank you and have a great forum.
Elliot Potter is a retired newspaperman who has served as editor of the Daily News for more than 30 years. He currently works as a communications consultant, including helping One Place and its Child Advocacy Center spread the word about protecting our children. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Elliot Potter.
Thanks. When I started at the Daily News, actually about 40 years ago, as a reporter, I covered county commissioners, so it's a race that'll be near and dear to my heart. I remember our first forum that we did with the county commissioners, that I did with the county commissioners back then. I was writing down the names of the commissioners that I think were participating. They were Joe Bynum, Luther Midget, Orman Barbee, Ed Hurst, and Herschel Brown. So that was, I date myself, but they were a lot of fun to be around. We'll have a lot of fun today, I hope. Most people by now are familiar with how we work this. The format, the program consists of actually 3 parts: an opening statement, a Q&A session, and then a closing statement. All of those main components have a 1-minute time limit associated with them, so it's kind of easy to remember, 60 seconds. We do have another element of this, and that is the bonus, it's sort of a bonus comment, rebuttal, what you want to use it as during the Q&A. If you hold one of those up, you have 2 of them that you can use. If you hold it up, we'll recognize you at the end of the round of questions, and you will have 30 seconds to either to fill in your remarks or to maybe address something that's been said. Just raise your card. If we don't see it, wave it at me, and if I don't see it, then throw it at me. At the end, we'll have the summations. As I said, you have 1 minute for each of those summations. Perhaps there was an issue that we did not discuss, or maybe your chance to go in more in depth into something that we have talked about. But in any case, that's up to you, how you want to do it. I will tell you that this is a forum and not a debate. And when we say that every time, what we mean is we want you to address the audience. We want you to address the moderator of the audience and not each other. That's because the exchange would be unfair to the whole of the panel. And so we want to keep it that way. We ask that the audience also refrain from applause during the program so we can keep things moving. We'll try to give, if you guys adhere to the time limits, we'll give everybody a round of applause at the end of the day. The way this lighting system works, you should be familiar with it by now, I'm sure you are. But when you see a yellow light, that means you have 30 seconds in one of the major components. It will mean you have 15 seconds when you get to the rebuttals. If you see the red light go off, finish your sentence. That doesn't necessarily mean you get a chance to finish your thought. You may have to use a card to do that. But trying to define sentence thought is too difficult to do, so I don't want to be a jerk about it. I'll just try to hope that you guys will adhere to what, and everybody usually does. So we're going to start this off with opening statements. We're going to start with you, Royce Bennett, and we'll move down the table because that's what I'm used to. Somebody said my brain might be mush by now, and it might be, so I hope I don't mess up. If I do, if I leave somebody out, please call it to my attention as quickly as we can, and we'll give you a chance to talk. During this opening statement, we ask each candidate to state your name and provide us with a sentence or two about background information to introduce yourself. We'd like you to include where you reside and, if it's applicable, your current occupation. And also give us an idea about why you're running for office. I will ask you if there are any questions, and if not, we will move to Mr. Bennett and let you get us going.
Thank you, Elliot. Hello, Onslow. I'm Royce Bennett. I thank you for allowing me to serve for the last 5 years as county commissioner. I've been in service to my community since I was 12 years old. I started as a junior volunteer firefighter 50 years ago. It was a lot different back then. But I've also served 14 years as a law enforcement officer, and I've been 27 years in business right here in Onslow County serving the citizens. I'm married for 39 years. I have 2 children and 5 grandchildren, a new one last week. But I've served in the community for many years in many different capacities: the Salvation Army, Onslow Strong Disaster Recovery Alliance, the YMCA. My campaign is about controlling spending, creating prosperity, and meeting community needs. And if you'd like to know more about that, you can go to voteforroyce.com, voteforroyce.com, and you can see more about me. Thank you.
Mike Cayley.
Welcome, everybody, and thank you for having me here this afternoon. I appreciate it. My name is Mike Cayley. My wife, Darlene's here in the audience. Between her and I, we have 9 children, 7 spouses to them, and 21 grandchildren. So when it comes to running, I'm running on as a conservative Republican because we got to watch where spending is. I'm a retired Marine for 25 years, retired as a Master Sergeant. I worked for Onslow County at Albert J. Ellis as a fireman for up to about 6.5 years, medically retired. I've been volunteering in Onslow County since 1997 with Onslow County REACT, Halls Run Rescue, been on the Fire Rescue Commission, sat on a couple of different boards through EMS. I know a little bit about the budget system. One of the main reasons why I'm running is because I want to control spending and wasteful spending. Dot the I's, cross the T's. We have a lot to do in Onslow County. You want to get with me on Saturday from 11 to 2 on Halls Run Road at the community building. Come on out and have a hot dog, and we'll talk.
Lisa Carpenter.
Thank you. My name is Lisa Carpenter. I live in the Blue Creek Farms neighborhood in the southwest part of Onslow County. Although I've never had a desire to serve as an elected official, I have been involved in politics for a number of years as an active grassroots volunteer. Most recently, I served as president for 2 years as the Onslow County Republican Women's Club. The fallout from the 2020 election disturbed me greatly. Knowing I couldn't affect a change in Washington, D.C., I shifted my focus to local politics. And over the past 1.5 years, I've been attending many Board of Commissioners meetings to become more informed. Over time, I've become increasingly concerned about decisions being made, topics being addressed or not being addressed, and some that were seemingly unimportant. So I've always said if you have no right to complain if you're not willing to get involved and to be part of the solution, and that's what I'm here to do.
And Tim Foster.
Thank you, Elliot, and thank you, Chamber, for giving us this opportunity. My name's Tim Foster. I live in the Southwest District in Onslow County. I've been married to my wife, Tasha, for 31-plus years. We have two sons, Cameron, who's currently serving his state and federal, the state and country with the Active Guard Reserve here locally in the National Guard. Our son, Peyton, is in school at Campbell University studying political science, and our daughter-in-law, Shelby, is in the Onslow County school system. I'm finishing 31 years in education in Onslow County. I'll be retiring on June 30th with a career that has been about service and dedication to our community in this county. I'm finishing my first term on the Board of Commissioners, and three things that we are proud of is first, the funding formula with the Board of Education, sustainable, doable, and meeting the needs of our students, our teachers, and our citizens. Zoning and the growth that we face, make sure that we maintain the aesthetic value of Onslow County while meeting the needs of the property owners. And finally, we are in a sound, strong financial position, the best historically. Thank you.
And finally, Mr. Price, Mark Price.
I am Mark Price. I'm a retired teacher and football coach. I reside off the Dawson Cabin Road area. I've been married for 31 years to my wife, Lisa. And I've got two great kids. You can't fake good kids. So that's one thing either me or my wife, one or both of us working in tandem, have done pretty well at. Christina is 29. She's a teacher in the virtual schools for Onslow County. She lives in Wilmington, but she teaches for the virtual schools. My daughter Kayla is a nurse in oncology at Cone Hospital. And so very proud of them. Like I said, I'm a retired teacher. Came to Onslow County in 1988, worked at Southwest High School as a teacher and football coach. I was passionate about that. I'm passionate about service. My whole adult life has been about service. And so I want to continue that as a county commissioner again. I was elected in 2016, and I'd like to continue to serve. Thank you.
All right, and Mr. Price, we're going to start with you and let's work our way back down the table again. And I will open with a question that I posed to the school board candidates in another session. Onslow County has dealt with COVID for more than 2 years now, and the situation has presented challenges to our county government that would have been difficult to imagine not that long ago. As someone seeking county office, what lessons do you feel we can draw from the experience moving forward?
Well, I think this board has done an excellent job in dealing with COVID. We didn't overreach. We didn't support closing anyone down or anything like that. I think we had a measured response, and with the assistance that's come in under the American Rescue Act and things like that, we've tried to address core needs that we have to use that money in a very judicious fashion to try to address things that maybe down the road we might need to do that we can address with the assistance that we're getting from the federal government through this additional funds that are coming in through the American Rescue Plan and things like that for the senior center, for other areas, for our landfill. So I think we've done a good job, and the key thing is we haven't overreached into areas that we have no business being in, like individual rights. Thank you.
Mr. Foster.
Absolutely. COVID taught us one thing: be prepared. Very much like Florence, be prepared. And that's one thing that we learned, that we had to be sound financially in Onslow County to meet any of the needs that we have with the shutdowns that we faced as a result of Raleigh. Onslow County did not do that. We did not support that. You may have seen signs that said local requirements, but it wasn't local requirements. It was state requirements or mandates, not here locally. So we learned that you have to be prepared for the future at all times. And that fund balance that we have has reached $28 million for the future of Onslow County and the next Florence that we may be facing. At the end of that, you need to be supportive of your community and supportive of your businesses. Each one of the commissioners spent time walking into the doors of businesses, finding ways to maintain their business, keeping them open and supporting them through these troubled times, and then taking the ARPA funding and put it where it needs to be to support our business owners and our citizens. So COVID taught us a lot. Be prepared because you don't know what's coming next.
Ms. Carpenter.
Being a citizen during that time and not being in a position, an elected position, I have some different takeaways from that. I understand that there were efforts made greatly by the Sheriff's Department to be sure that people were able to live freely. A mandate is not a law, though, and I felt as though there could have been more communication about the true definition of it. There was I don't know. The encouragement to stay healthy, I feel like, was missing. There was way too much focus, for me anyway, on fear and fostering the fear in the neighborhoods and not bringing, clarity to, I guess, what could have been done to keep people healthy. And that disturbed me quite a bit. But the one thing that did also bother me was the numbers being put out on a regular basis did not clearly define whether it was people with COVID or people that actually died from COVID.
Mr. Cayley?
Okay. I took COVID very serious when it first came out because we did need to do the proper research. I was all for all the shutdown and everything to find out where we were going, since it was a disease that nobody knew anything about. But once that got identified, we had shutdowns too much. And I understand that we didn't have it here locally with our government. So I hold my hands to everybody at that time for that and the Sheriff's Department for what they did to let us do what we need to do. But we as citizens, we need to fight for our rights. We need to do the research. We need to do the data and make sure that we're taking care of our own children, make the decisions for our own children, and do what we need to do as responsible adults to protect everybody. On that note, I believe wholeheartedly in research and data, getting in the trenches and fighting for the community. It's all one community. It's our community, all right? We got to take care of each other all the time and pass the information required. And I would work for anybody to help do it better next go-around.
Mr. Bennett?
Thank you, sir. We learned during COVID that we could continue to operate Onslow County government. Some of our services went virtual. Some of our employees went home and worked from home. But Onslow County never stopped inspecting houses. Onslow County never stopped issuing building permits. Onslow County never stopped running ambulances and fire trucks in the sheriff's office. The other thing that we learned is how to set up a mass vaccine clinic. Look, county health departments have never had to set up mass vaccine clinics in this country that I know of, and certainly not in Onslow County. So in a matter of 3 days, our staff learned how to set up and operate a mass vaccine clinic in Onslow County. And everybody that I've talked to said that it was a great operation and it went very well. So we did learn a lot from COVID. I hope we'll keep those lessons for the next situation, whatever it may be, whether it's a Florence or a COVID, we'll be ready.
Okay, well, I'm going to start this round of questioning with Mr. Cayley.
Can I do?
I'm sorry, Ms.
No
Carpenter,
problem.
go ahead.
That was a great disjointed message that I just gave you. I will say this, the one thing that I did feel about the last 2 years, there was one thing that was an overreach in a big way, I feel like, when commissioners were doing a COVID commercial, and I know some of them don't believe that they had any impact on other people, but when you're in an elected position and you have a banner that says get vaccinated with a syringe and a vial with it, to me that is sending the wrong message.
Mr. Price?
On my COVID commercial, what I told people to do was to carefully consider what was best for themselves and their family, to pray about it, to consult their doctor, and then do what was best for them. I didn't never tell anyone what to do. That's not my job. I told them to prayerfully consider what was best for their family and then take the action that they felt was best.
Okay. All right. Mr. Cayley, I believe we're still back to you.
Okay?
All right. I'd like to get your thoughts about this question. Is Onslow County government a good deal for taxpayers, both in terms of services and finances?
I would say that for Onslow County, as far as doing the services to the public, they're doing a good job as taking care of them. Where I feel that things are being fell short on is when it comes to the budgets that are being done, and we need to trim the fat. We need to not have wasteful spending. We need to watch what we're spending. Coming back to the COVID issue, And I'm not gonna beat up equine country or anything because it's a done deal. I understand that. That's not why I'm here. But myself, I felt during COVID, this was the wrong time to buy that property, because I felt that we could have used that money in other things, even though part of it was tourism. I understand all that. But when people are out of work and not working, we needed to take care of the community first before we go buy more property. I think it could have been handled a lot different. And I know there's good things to come from it, but sometimes we have to look at the big picture of the whole community before we make a big decision like that, and it comes back to transparency.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Carpenter?
Yes. In general, I would say that it's a good deal. Services and finances are providing what we basically need here. We've got some major issues, I know, that are coming up because of the growth that we've had, and there's adjustments that certainly need to be made, and I do know that the commissioners currently are working on a lot of those things. Having sat through the recent budget workshops and listening to all that's been going into that, I do definitely see that there is a lot of inspection that could be done on certain areas. Mandated or not mandated expenses. I know that one of the things I hear a lot is that 81% of the budget is already dictated by the legislature, and that's all well and good. However, I do think that there needs to be more oversight, especially in the area of education. And this is just coming at it from a novice perspective and somebody that can look at numbers, but I think that there needs to be more careful inspection done with all of those pieces.
Mr. Foster?
I absolutely agree that Onslow County government provides a quality service for the cost to its citizens. 80.5% of that budget is mandated. Doesn't mandate exactly how much we would do with the sheriff's office because it pretty much just requires a sheriff and a couple of bailiffs. But what we've done is we've made sure we meet the needs of the sheriff's office as best we can with the request that the sheriff puts out to get more detention officers, more deputies on the road. EMS, we look at the response time. You call 911, you want to make sure you're getting what you're paying for when they show up at the door within minutes to make sure that you're taken care of and rushed to the hospital and your life is saved. Parks and Rec is such a huge part of what we do for the youth of this community. Gives them an outlet to go and be a part of teamwork, part of growing together, part of individual discipline. We built or issued over 1,100 permits in the last year in building in Onslow County. We were able to make sure that the builders were able to keep building in the last couple of years and maintain the success of Onslow County.
Okay, and Mr. Price, the question is Onslow County government a good deal for taxpayers, both in terms of services and finances?
Without a doubt, Onslow County government is a good deal for the taxpayers of Onslow County. Hines Farm Park and Stables cost $1.25 million. $900,000 of that came from tourism money, which citizens of Onslow County didn't pay unless they stayed in a hotel in Onslow County. And $350,000 of that came from savings that we had as a result of utilizing the assistance from the federal government and saving that money wisely. So 153 acres for $1.25 million that was appraised at $3.4 million, that sounds like a good deal. And I like to follow the science. The science is to get outside and get some fresh air and that type of thing. So I think it's a tremendous deal, and long-term it's going to be a major asset for Onslow County. You can't think it's in the now. You have to project what may be happening down the future and what are the opportunities that the future can provide for Onslow County as well.
Okay, and Mr. Bennett, I believe, still has a chance, and then we'll go to you, Mr. Kelly.
Thank you. Is Onslow County government a good deal? You know what, we always start our budgets at the bottom. Our department heads are expected to justify all the money that they spend. I understand that our county manager cut over $10 million out of the requests from our county departments just a few weeks ago. We try to manage your money in a way, and we have managed your money in a way that we have one of the best credit ratings in the entire country, and because of that we're able to reduce our interest rates on our debt and save you millions of dollars of tax money. We start at the bottom working on community needs because Community needs are what is the basic service for Onslow County. That's emergency medical service, volunteer fire departments, that's animal control and mosquito control. Don't you want that mosquito sprayer to come down your street in a few months? Last year, we cleared over 60,000 linear feet of streams in Onslow County so that the water will flow off better. So yes, sir, you're getting a good deal for your money. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Kelly?
Okay, so when it comes to the tax money, I don't care if it's FEMA money, grant money, tourism money, whatever you want to sugarcoat it to be. It's tax money. It came from the citizens of Onslow County. Doesn't matter how it comes back, it's tax money. Like, we got fire shortages for personnel on the EMS side, paramedics, fire rescue. They want pay raises for the sheriff department. We got to do what we can do to take care of those individuals and make the county safer.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, I think Mr. Foster, we'll start with you this time and work our way back down. How would you assess the housing situation in Onslow County, including the challenges facing both the people who own homes and those who are looking to purchase or find affordable housing?
Housing in Onslow County right now is difficult. The housing market has exploded. And that's mainly because we don't have enough housing to meet the demands of the number of people that are coming in, which as a result is pushing the market up. And that is one of the reasons that this past year, when the builders come to us with the shipping issues with windows, that we had to put a stay on the requirements and inspections, that the window could be skipped because they were not showing up and would stop the building, because we understood there was a shortage of housing in Onslow County and we needed to keep that process moving forward. The affordable housing has become a big issue in Onslow County in just the last 6 months to a year with with Town Center and what's happened there. And we took steps then where we took $5 million and put it as a chip to give to builders to come in and build more affordable housing in Onslow County. Of course, that's a couple of years down the road to get that here, but that is something that our citizens need. And the market is being driven by the lack of housing, and we'll continue to support the builders and building more homes and working on affordable housing.
Okay. Ms. Carpenter?
We're going this way. Okay. Sorry. Okay, timer's going. Yes. Thank you so much. Affordable housing. Honestly, this is a topic that I would say that I'm not an expert on per se. I know that there is huge demand. I know that there is a shortage. I know because my son tried to get into real estate. He thought, this is probably not a great market to be getting into right now. I do appreciate what Tim just said about, working with builders to be sure that the growth that we're sustaining from the new people that are coming to town, especially from a lot of Marines coming from California to Marsauk, that is being supportive. And I think it's going to take a minute to get it all back together again, especially after the shortages under COVID with the supply chain shutdown. So thank you for that.
Mr. Kelly?
Okay. Well, right now, currently, there's around 204,000 personnel that live in Onslow County. There's about 84 to 86,000 homeowners already, and we see that's going to grow up to be more. I know we got an average growth of approximately about 51%, okay? The problem that it hurts is right now is the inflation on all the materials and getting it here, because there's always delays for whatever reason. So, but I think the contractors are doing good, and I think it's good that the people of Onslow County can come together and help work those issues out. But the problem that we have is we continue to grow houses or more housing, we're losing our farmers, okay? We need to see what we can do to help keep some of the farms that we have here already. Then it comes back to the school systems. We need to get back to where we're building 2- 3-story schools instead of 1-story schools, to where we're using up all this property. Then we got to buy other property and then build another 1-story school. Let's redo the research, build a 2- 3-story school, and then we got room for expansion on that one piece of property.
Thank you. Mr. Bennett?
Thank you, Elliot. The housing issue in Onslow County is certainly a big deal. Our Onslow County Economic Development Partnership estimates that we need over 2,000 houses a year for the next 5 years to meet the needs. Last year, we permitted 1,153 in Onslow County. So, there's a lot to do to meet the housing shortage, and I don't see it being cleared out anytime soon. It's going to be a problem for several years. We are working as a county to increase the number of houses that we can build. We're putting 2 more people in our planning and permitting department in next year's budget that'll help to speed up the process. I have a map here. I don't know if you can see it, but this is Onwassa, the first quarter of this year. Onwassa installed over 400 water and sewer taps in Onslow County, and you can see where the growth spots are. You're talking about Sneads Ferry, North Topsail Beach, over here in Hubert, and anyway.
Okay.
Yep, thank you.
And I believe we're back to Mr. Price, is that right?
Right.
Okay.
I think what you're seeing in housing in Onslow County is a reflection of what's happening across the country. The market is super overheated. Ironically, in 2016, we were talking about a market where there was a surplus of housing. And what are we going to do about selling all these houses we have in Onslow County? And back then, the market self-corrected. And that's a great thing about free enterprise. I think eventually the market will self-correct. In the meantime, we've taken the action, like Mr. Foster said, we're working with setting aside $5 million to build some affordable housing in the apartment complexes over there behind Marine Chevrolet. So we have taken some action to try to address that. But we live in a free enterprise system, and that's an awesome thing. And so the market has an amazing ability to self-correct. It may not take place quickly, but it'll happen. Interest rates will go up, people will stop borrowing as much, and the market will cool off.
Okay. All right, well, we're going to move on, and Ms. Carpenter, you'll get the first crack at this question, and we will move, I confuse myself too, so don't worry about it.
And me too.
We'll move this way and then back around for the panel. Okay. Staffing is becoming more of a concern at many levels of local government, including law enforcement and education. What are some of the ways that Onslow County can improve its position as a potential employer?
Well, one of the things, I'm glad you brought that up, because one of the things that has really piqued my interest the most is the level of pay that we are not giving to the Sheriff's Department employees. I know that turnover is an expensive thing to incorporate into any entity, any business or government agency. And I believe that in order to be able to retain people and to attract people, and really give them a fair cost of living, that's got to be addressed in really critically. And I think that's probably also true as far as within the government county positions as well. I had a conversation with a gal yesterday who said she could not move she wanted to work for the county, but when she submitted her application and then was told what the pay would be, that it would not be compensate her enough to make it worth the move. So finding out how to start with that anyway is, I think, critical.
Mr. Foster.
Absolutely. Bringing employees to Onslow County, and then more importantly, retaining them, because we spend a lot of money once they come on board in training, and if they leave us, we turn around and have to train the next individual. So with that being said, we took the opportunity over the last year and gave an 8% COLA to the employees of Onslow County. That was just a start, because you can't start in one area and give pay raises and leave the other area alone, because the compression starts sitting on top of itself. So the new employee comes in making as much as the old employee. So we can't just give the raises to those coming in and increase that. We have to provide that raise to those that are already there and retain them, because they're a valuable member. And I want the employees of Onslow County to know how valuable they are as we're continuing to look at and finding the means to give them increase in pay. And as far as teachers are considered or a part of this, is we support that supplement that goes to teachers in Onslow County to bring them here and retain them. And I'd love to see a step increase in that for those veterans that stick around in Onslow County.
Okay, Mr. Price.
As Mr. Foster said, last year we increased the COLA by 8%, and also we had a bonus that went with that. I believe it was $1,000, if I remember correctly. So, these are tough decisions. I'd love to give people everything they want, but that's not within reason. We have to make tough decisions. If you promise people everything they want, that's called pandering. I don't pander. I shoot it to you straight. And we got to make tough decisions. If we want to increase detention officer salaries, we got to find somewhere else where we can make some tough decisions to make some, put a cap somewhere else or do something innovative, something different to do that. It's not easy. If it was easy, everybody would do it.
Mr. Bennett?
Thank you, sir. Staffing is certainly a big concern for Onslow County, but it's a national concern. It's not like we're in an island here by ourselves. Everybody's having problems getting people. There's a national attitude that people don't want to work, it seems like. So it is a challenge for Onslow County. I agree that we desperately need some kind of step system where people can get a raise inside of their pay grade and get some merit increases as they go along. We're told that'll cost several $1 million, and that money just hasn't presented itself at this time. But we are working towards some opportunities and some ways to compensate employees. We give them a lot of days off right now. I think we're at 15. So, you know, we're given a lot of holidays, but it's a national challenge here. Thank you.
Mr. Cayley?
Okay. As a former county employee and starting out at the airport as general maintenance and then becoming a fireman out there, when I retired out of the Marine Corps, I started back out there at $7 and something an hour. And then when I became a fireman, I went to $15 an hour, okay? One thing about the Sheriff's Department, the paramedics, and our call volume for our volunteer fire departments and probably the city of Jacksonville, even though we're a big county and we're not a big city, we have the call volume just as much as what Charlotte or Raleigh may have when it comes to calls volume. So we need to make sure that we take care of all the county employees, not just certain ones. But when you got that much call volume, they're doing all this and they leave and go to another county because they can get less call volume, but maybe better pay. We got to give them incentives to stay, and it's for all the employees.
Thank you. Let's start at the end again, Mr. Bennett, and work our way. And I'll keep doing this until I confuse myself, which ain't gonna be long. Let's stay. I tell you what. Let's stay on the issue of jobs. We talked about public sector jobs. Let's talk about private sector jobs, jobs that are driving the local economy. The employment situation continues to be something of a conundrum in Onslow County. People say it is difficult to find a career-building, good-paying job here, yet many employers say it is becoming next to impossible to find qualified help. As a commissioner, what could you do, or what would you do to address the situation?
Well, we have to, right now is a time when businesses are looking to build and grow and relocate. And so one of the things we need to do is we need to be investing more in economic development. Now, I do want to say that we've just recently made a deal to sell some land in Burton Park, and that's going to bring in, we're going to sell 15 acres of land. It's going to bring in a $13 million medical facility that'll serve the southwest side of our town, where they won't have to drive across the Western Boulevard to go to the doctor maybe. And that'll bring over 100 jobs, good paying jobs to Onslow County, medical professionals. And we have to bring in more of that kind of stuff into Onslow County. And whatever we have to do to make that happen, we're gonna be working on that.
Okay, Mr. Cayley?
Okay. That's what the main focus we got to do. We got to go out and get these big businesses like maybe Amazon or like a Automark or something that has to do with the military and bring those into our area to get better paying jobs. I remember years ago when I was still in the Marine Corps, I believe there was an Amtrak's wanted to bring and build a factory here in Onslow County at the time. And the county commissioners didn't give them the tax break or whatever they needed, and they turned around and they went and built somewhere else. But we got all kind of retail stuff. We got hundreds of restaurants, it seems like. And I'm not saying we don't need a good sit-down steakhouse on this side of Onslow County, you know, for the southwest area. But we need to get out of all the little retail stuff. We need to get back into the main businesses and the career, like you said, tool and die, manufacturing. I remember when Jacksonville had 3 or 4 textile factories, you know, where they make clothing and everything. The multi-complex used to be one of them. We need to get back to that.
Ms. Carpenter?
Could you repeat the question?
I sure will. I'm gonna just shorten it a little bit.
Yeah,
People say it is difficult to find a career-building, good-paying job in Onslow County, yet many employers are saying it's becoming next to impossible to find qualified help. As a commissioner, what can you do to help address the job situation?
So when I was listening to these gentlemen talk, the one thing that I do know, I raised 2 boys who we homeschooled, and originally were very invested into the public brick and mortar kind of education for college. That's what I used to think. And once we started doing homeschooling and kind of looking at the way things are in the world today, noticing that there's a lot of infrastructure related jobs or just manual labor jobs like AC and heating, and my son's a tool and die guy. He's a machinist. I do think it would be great if there was a way for us to be able to have kind of more, what's the word for it? I can't even think of the word for it, where you work alongside of the people that, thank you, apprenticeship positions that were maybe encouraged. Thanks for that, Tim. Apprenticeship positions that were encouraged, and I'm sure that might be something that could be done through the college as well as really looked at in the schools as well.
Foster?
Economic development. We want to continue working in that direction, working with Jacksonville Onslow Economic Development and bringing jobs to Onslow County. One of the things that has helped us a little bit that will help us in the future is the $29 million that the state sent to us to the airport to increase, hopefully, and get some good paying jobs here above the service industry as far as what we have. Some of the things that's really going to help us with that is the fact that Swansboro is doing such a great job in its business park down with the boat builders. Holly Ridge is doing a great job bringing in Atlantic Seafood and other manufacturers that are coming in there, bringing in good, solid paying jobs. And the other part of this is the education in Onslow County. Coastal Carolina Community College, we need to make sure that's out there, that we are bringing people into that college, out into the community with great trades and skills that will be beneficial to businesses that are looking to move here to bring good paying jobs, as well as our military leaving the Marine Corps and what we can do with them and making them as another asset for business in Onslow.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Price?
I see the role of the Board of Commissioners not as a job creator. We don't create jobs. We create a climate where business can operate and thrive. And the key thing there is a low tax rate. And we need to maintain a low tax rate to incentivize businesses to locate in Onslow County. We can do things like the deal with Atlantic Seafood, where they're building a 60,000 square foot facility. They improve that land to create more property tax coming into the county, more jobs being created. But that's private enterprise. That's their job, to create jobs. It's not my job to create jobs. My job is to help create a climate where business can operate and thrive. Textiles are dead in the United States, pretty much. They have been for a while. Those jobs we can't compete with China or those other Asian countries in wages. You know, their wages, they pay such low wages, we can't compete with that.
Okay, we got a couple of cards. Let's see, we were going to that direction, so we'll start with Mr. Bennett and go this way.
Thank you. I just want to touch on a couple other things that our Economic Development Partnership is doing toward this, the Military Skill Bridge Program. They're promoting that Skill Bridge Program where a veteran can come out and work for 6 months in the community while he's in his tour. The Veterans Multi-Use Buildings, which is an opportunity for a veteran to build a building and live and work in the same building. And also business incubator programs. We have hundreds of jobs. We have 100 PhDs in Onslow County for every one job opening for a PhD in Onslow County. So we have a hugely over-educated workforce here that needs a place to work.
Thank you. Okay. Now, I believe.
Yes. Just real quick. Okay, I understand the textiles aren't here no more. They're all over in China. That's the problem during COVID. We need to bring back everything we can into America, make it in America, and we can save money in the long run from that right there in a nutshell. Because we got to take care of our own. We can't get messed up because of China. We can't get parts for cars, chips, because they're in China. We need to do it right here in the USA of Onslow County. Our community. I'm fighting for our community.
Okay, and Mr. Foster.
We do have a public hearing coming up on the property in Burton Park, and that property's been sitting there for 20-plus years, and nothing has been done with that. And we are doing some incentives to bring that in. Right now, that property is about $928,000, and within the next 4 years, it's going to be increased in value with anywhere from $11 to $15 million spent in building out there. I've had some questions of, well, man, give me some property out there. And my answer is real simple. You build a $15 million property or business and bring in 100 good paying jobs in here, we'll sit at the table and make that incentive deal with you as well. So let's build Onslow County.
Okay, we will move on. And I'm going to start this out with Mr. Price. Move this way. There continues to be public discussion. Believe me, when people found out I was moderating, I got calls related to the future construction of an event or conference center or some sort of multi-use facility in the county. What are your views on this proposal? What, if anything, should be done to make such a project a reality?
Well, I think the only way that is feasible to be done is if we partner with a private company to, say, a hotel or something that would want to come in to create a multi-purpose facility. But my thinking is, if it was profitable, they would have done it already. That's why businesses exist, to make money. And so if they wanted to do it, they do the numbers game on this stuff. They look at the demographic. And if they've looked at it and said, we can't make this go, we can't make this make a profit in Onslow County, why would Onslow County try to do it on their own whenever government doesn't run a large-scale business like that? Well, that's not our primary function, is to run a business like that. That could turn into one of the biggest boondoggles in the history since the WPA, if we tried something like that. Just my feeling on it.
Okay, Mr. Foster?
First, we need to find a means to reduce our current debt capacity to open the doors for more lending and good rates to come to us to look at building a multi-sports complex. And we're looking at some of that stuff in the current budget now, how we can reduce that debt capacity to bring on more debt in the place of that to build a multi-sports complex that would include field, soccer, baseball, softball, lacrosse, etc., and a building for basketball, volleyball, wrestling to bring people here. Tournaments to our area. Let's capitalize on the United States Marine Corps and what this county and this community is. We are the United States of America with the largest Marine Corps installation on the East Coast. Let's have a summer of Patriot Games where we bring in kids and teams from across this nation to be a part of what the Marine Corps offers and this town offers. It's a great chance for recruiting for the United States Marine Corps. It's a great chance for kids to go on board base if we can work out a deal with the leadership over there and get some education of what the military brings and the careers there, and let's put something in place to bring people here, to bring money into our county.
Ms. Carpenter?
I agree. The multi-purpose facility is, I know, something that's been tossed around for quite a bit of time, and I think it was on the commissioner's lap at some point in the past, and now it's bounced back over to the city, who is pursuing it. I do believe that it is something, there's got to be a viable solution and way to bring it to town. I know there's communities surrounding us that have the same kind of facility that do very well with it, and I do think that our population can support it. We send away thousands, probably close to $1 million for all the Marine Corps balls that get shipped out of here. Our greatest venue that is here is a church, which is great. However, we can be bringing concerts here. We can be bringing sporting events here that I think somehow could also aid in the funding of that kind of a facility. I do think something that someone said here earlier is a great idea. There's private partnerships that we can make, and I am all about having private partnerships instead of involving the government and increasing the debt capacity more than we already need to.
Mr. Cayley?
Okay. I can't exactly remember what year it was, but the hotel that's across there from the Kettle that they tore down years ago, they were going to build, I believe, some type of convention center there years ago. And then I believe they found out that the land was hazmat, and so they weren't able to do that. But I think a convention center for a multi-complex, for a venue for like keeping the Marines and different activities and everything would be great. But I think that needs to come back where the city and the county need to work together along with private businesses to make that happen. It needs to be a joint effort, not just one or the other. It takes all the research, what it takes, dot the i's, cross the t's, find out what it's going to cost, and come together in unity to make it work. No one side can do it alone. And it needs to be fair for everybody and have a shared piece of the pie.
Mr. Bennett?
Thank you. I do agree with some of that. We need the facility. I believe that we could show now that it's economically feasible where it may not have been 25 years ago. Our economic development team has statistics that show that over $500 million a year goes out of Onslow County to seek entertainment options in other counties and surrounding areas. So the money is there. Our economic development director went back in November to Orlando, Florida to try to recruit entertainment businesses to Onslow County. We need to do more of that. Now is the time that those businesses are looking for a place to expand. And with the city's purchase of the acreage out in Western Extension, we have a great location for that to happen, but it's got to be a public-private partnership. It's got to work with the county without us having to put property tax dollars into it. And I think we can make that happen if we can work together and do it.
I think you can see what some vision can do in Onslow County, and that is at the end of Burton Park there with the big bike branch park there, that they're bringing races in and bringing people here to be a part of this community, stay in our hotels and stay in our cabins out at Hines Farm to bring that tourism dollar in here. And I believe the same thing is true with the multi-sports complex, and working with the city and a private organization would be fantastic. We need a place for our military balls to take place here to keep our men and women safe and not on the streets going to Greenville and to Wilmington and other areas.
All right. I think we'll start this one off with you again, Mr. Foster, and then we'll move this way. Volunteers are still the backbone of fire protection in unincorporated areas of Onslow County, but many local departments are struggling with issues related to staffing, training, regulation, equipment. What can be done to ensure that volunteer fire departments remain viable in Onslow County?
The volunteer fire departments, unfortunately, are not what they were years ago. The number of volunteers being able to be a part of the service has become more difficult. Many live so far away. But we do need to find a means to find a sustainable way to fund and support our local volunteer fire departments. And one of those things could be in the next coming budget is looking at it means to dedicate a percentage of what we bring into the local fire departments to bring them up to par, because they cannot do it themselves. People used to go to the barbecue fundraiser, put $100 on the table, take one sandwich. Now they go in and they ask how much the sandwiches are, and it's $20. They give you $20, and that's no more. So we have to find a means to support them through dedicating money to them, as much like we have done with the education and the revenue, 36.1% going to education. We can find a percentage of that to go to fire service, a dedicated portion of revenue to support the volunteer fire service, not take over the volunteer fire service. These men and women put in lots of time to take care of their communities.
Thank you. Ms. Carpenter?
Could you repeat that again? I'm really sorry.
I will.
Thank you.
Volunteers are the backbone of fire protection in unincorporated areas of Onslow County. Yet many local departments are struggling with issues that are related to staffing, training, regulation, equipment. What can be done to ensure that volunteer fire departments remain viable in our county?
Okay. I do know it's an issue, and I am going to say I'm not exactly sure what it's going to be. One thing I do know is that the thought of taxing more to acquire those services is not something that I desire at all, because I think there's probably enough money in the budget somewhere that we can be figuring that out. Volunteers are certainly the backbone of everything that we do, not just in the fire department. And I'm going to divert it to Mike Cayley next to me because he's got more experience. One thing that I know about me, I don't have all the answers, and that's okay. I'm resourceful and I'm a good researcher, and I will contact experts and do as much as I possibly can to find out the answers. But this is one thing that I really do not know exactly what the answer is.
Thank you. Mr. Kelly?
Okay. 1 minute does not give me enough time to take this topic on, okay? Because when I was on the Fire Rescue Commission, up until they shut the halls run, well, all the volunteer rescue squads down in March of 2019, okay? I'm not here to get the rescue squads back. I want you to understand that right now. But when it comes to volunteers, they don't come out and volunteer like they used to, okay? Their priorities are different than ours. It didn't matter if it was 2, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning. If I was getting ready to go to work at night, that beeper went off, I got up and I went, okay? We don't have that dedication. They go to the soccer games, the birthday parties, and all that other stuff. But to answer this question, it takes the county commissioners to come together and work it out. I'm not for raising taxes either, but there's things we got to do because we don't have enough manpower, and it's time that we look at it and quit putting a Band-Aid on it. I got a visual idea exactly how it needs to be done, but I need people to come and hear it and sit down and listen and talk. Because we started working this strategy before I was off the Fire Rescue Commission.
All right, thank you. Mr. Bennett?
Thank you, Elliot. Yeah, our volunteer fire departments are essential to Onslow County. Our staff has estimated that it'll cost us $20 million a year if we have to pay all of the fire service for full-time fire service, and it's changed so much. I said I was a volunteer when I was 12 years old. I was cleaning hoses and washing fire trucks. When I was 14 years old, they let me ride on the back of the fire truck and crawl in burning buildings. And my dad had to take me to the fires in the middle of the night. I go wake him up. You have to take me to the fire in the middle of the night. But that doesn't happen anymore. We don't have the volunteers like we used to have. What we've got to do is we got to look at the possibility of some tax incentives to help our volunteers to continue to serve. We got to look at their retirement and disability benefits to make sure that when they get hurt in the fire, they're going to be taken care of. And we got to continue to fund more and more positions, volunteer or full-time positions to help our fire departments out when they need it the most. Thank you.
Mr. Price?
Well, I think we got to deal with the worst first. Deal with the essentials. We got to deal with the problem that's the biggest. We got some fire engines that are over 25 years old that they don't even make parts for anymore. So that may have to be addressed now. But anything further that requires assessing 2 or 3 more cents or something like that, that seems like something we need to go to the people with first. We need to go to the neighborhoods. We need to go out to Southwest 9 Mile, Halls Run, Holly Ridge, wherever, and conduct these type of town halls where we give the people what's going on. This is how many fire stations we have in excess of 25 years old or 30 years old. These are how many fire engines we need down the line. We need to let the people know what the problem is before we start spending a whole lot of money, and we need them to have the support for that before it goes forward in a major way. Of course, you got to deal with the worst first. You're getting beat on the ground, you don't try to defend the past.
Mr. Kelly, I believe I have you down for 2.
Okay.
No more.
No more?
So I'll have to call you down on that one. Okay, here we go. Let's start with, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll give you the first shot at this question. How about that? Is that a trade-off?
Whatever works.
Great.
What are the most important factors in ensuring transparency so that people that feel connected to their county government, their elected commissioners?
Transparency, research, not just coming out in front like we are today and come up and hold a topic up, the agenda, and say, all those in favor, say aye. Let's discuss it a little bit more. I understand we don't want meetings to go for 2 or 3 hours at any type of meeting, okay? They'll get boring, you lose people and they won't show up. We gotta get people involved from the community. So some of these topics that the commissioners vote on need to be discussed in public. I'm all for transparency. We got to have it. We got to dot the I's and cross the T's. The citizens need to know exactly what every county commissioner is doing and know where every dollar is being spent. It's their money. It's their money. We answer to them. They don't answer to us. We're supposed to take care of them. I don't care if it's $1 item or a $1 million item. We need to take care of that money and spend it wisely. No wasteful spending. Transparency is the key.
Mr. Bennett, let's move your way.
Yes, sir. You know, we try to be as transparent as we possibly can. I've found over the last 5 years that it's very hard to get information to 210,000 people in Onslow County. Seems like no matter how much how much you put it out on Facebook or email or we have a sunshine list where people can sign up and see the agenda weeks before the meetings. We have public hearings. We have advisory boards that advise the commissioners, but there's always somebody who manages to not get the information that they think they need. I'm not sure what the answer to that is. I tell my people my phone number all the time. It's 910-389-9638. It's public. It's out there. I'll be glad to answer your questions for you. If somebody wants to know what's going on in Onslow County, if you want to know something about the agenda, if you want to know what we're doing, you're welcome to call me. I'd love to talk to you. Thank you.
Okay, we'll swing back around with Mr. Price.
Our budget books are published. They're made available at the libraries. They're put online. People can get access to that information if they so desire. If they email me, I'm more than willing to respond and call them back and answer their questions and provide any information that they need. Now, I may not always tell them what they want to hear. And so I understand that's the case. Yeah, that may be the case. So you do as much as you can, and then that's all you can do. So if somebody has the silver bullet or the magic thing that's going to solve a transparency problem, I hope they share it with us.
Just reiterate some of the things that Commissioner Bennett, Commissioner Price mentioned is the sunshine list and our agendas emailed out. Make sure if you're interested in that, contact Julie Wan. She'll get you on that list and you'll get a copy of those agendas. Our agendas our meetings are posted on Facebook. Upcoming items are posted on Facebook. It's posted out on our website for the county website. We actually made a decision to save the tax dollars money by moving one of our meetings to the morning. And that wasn't to hide anything. That was to save money for overtime, but it was also for those that work in the evenings. It gives them an opportunity to attend those meetings in the morning. So we give plenty of opportunity and want to continue to give opportunity for people to come be a part of our meetings, have the information that's going out. And the other part of being transparent is what a lot of us do is we get out in the community. When we were dealing with a lot of the zoning issues, we answered the phone calls, we answered the emails, we stood in the neighborhoods and met with people in the neighborhoods and discussed the issues that were coming along, and that caused us to make some changes in some of the zoning issues that were coming out. So I'm like Commissioner Bennett, Tim Foster, 910-330-5641. If I don't answer, I'll call you back.
So just, excuse me, despite the Sunshine Club, despite the website, despite the Facebook messages that go out, clearly there, in my opinion, is a communication gap that is happening between the government and the commissioners and the citizens. And those things are just not enough. And I really do feel like it is important that efforts be stepped up to connect with people, to make sure that concerns are being properly heard and understood, that people know that we care. And I think one of the greatest things that we could possibly do, I heard this idea from someone else and I thought, or actually I came up with the idea and they said that used to happen here in the 80s, which is to hold open forums out around throughout the county, have informal meetings where a couple of commissioners show up and maybe joint with a couple of the elected officers in the municipality there. And people can come in an informal way and talk and find out what's really going on in the community and address them and make sure that the word gets out that way. I think it's going to be a grassroots effort.
Mr. Bennett, let me check on you.
Yeah, no, I did it. I put my, the
Okay,
one I
you're good.
used over here,
Okay.
so I won't reach it again. There you go. Thank you. I just wanted to, I'm always out in the community talking to people and doing things. I'm a deacon at Blue Creek Baptist Church. I'm on WASA board member. I'm on the transportation board. I helped start the Onslow Strong Disaster Recovery Alliance, and the New River YMCA. All those are local boards of people who are coming together, and we're having conversations about what's going on in Onslow County. Jacksonville Economic Development, the Salvation Army Board, and a member of the Jacksonville Board of Realtors, and Onslow Protect Our Students. So I'm out there all the time. I'm sorry. I'm out there all the time trying to connect with people.
Mr. Foster, I got you down for 2 also. Yeah, was I wrong?
Yes.
Okay. Well, are you sure? This is an honest.
Yes, I've only used one.
Okay.
I think the transparency is definitely something that we don't want a perception to be negative in that, and that's the reason that email to Tim Foster or or phone call to Tim Foster, I don't answer the email because I don't want you to glean something from it that was not intended. So I'm gonna pick up the phone and I'm gonna call you. And if you want to, I'll meet you face to face and have these conversations, because I think that face to face interaction is the most important. If we didn't learn anything else from the shutdowns and the pandemic, face to face interaction is important. So again, I'll come meet you and I'll talk to you anything that's on the agenda. We may not agree, but we'll both be informed with each other's opinions on things.
One last question, and I'll start with Ms. Carpenter on this one. I think you're in line. There are numerous public, private, nonprofits that are working to protect children here in Onslow County, including many agencies that are under the umbrella of county government. Yet we still find local kids that are at risk, that are suffering, that need treatment, need protecting. What more can the county do?
Honestly, I'm not even sure that it's a county position, to be honest with you. It's a community issue, I think, more than a government issue, and I think we have a real problem with just, churches stepping up and getting involved. I mean, the community organizations doing more than they currently do, and doing what's right. There seems to be also within education. I don't know exactly what happens in public school because I didn't have kids here in public school, but I do think that somehow there needs to be more communication that happens between students, and, well, not even students, but between parents and the structure at school to be able to inform them more openly. What I do know is it's not always a real partnership, and there seems to be conflicts in that way, and I think you can protect students when communication is more open and, truth is shared.
Hey, Mr. Cayley?
Okay, I'm going to try and answer this best I can. I might be confused on the question. If it's got to do with medical situations, or child abuse or different things, then it needs to go through the proper steps through the Sheriff's Department and social services. If we're talking like different type of sporting events and activities and all that kind of stuff, it's a community thing. If there's crisis or situation, we need to dictate to whether they go through Red Cross or, like Lisa already said, getting with churches involved and everything. You got a big broad spectrum right there, so I can't really answer that question probably totally the way you want it to be answered. We need, as citizens, to be involved. The parents need to be involved, okay? But it needs to start the family reaching out, not waiting until maybe DSS is involved. It's about the teacher speaking up prior if they see something that's not right. It's take everybody come together and working. It's a family environment. It's a community environment. We got to take care of each other. It's about God. It's about having Christ involved.
Thank you. Mr. Bennett?
Thank you, Ellie. It is a sad fact that we had over 3,000 abuse and neglect complaints to the Department of Social Services last year in Onslow County. And we have several nonprofit organizations that are working on preventive measures and trying to relieve those situations. The county does help funding some of those organizations, and I think it's a very necessary funding priority to get money to those organizations that are helping our children, saving our children. And I think that we need to continue to do that. And we need to put the emphasis on I agree, on our churches and our public-private partnerships and our families to meet those needs.
Thank you. Mr. Price?
We have seen an uptick in child abuse and those cases where kids have been neglected by their parents as a result of opioid use, increase of a problem of opioids in the county. We tried to respond to that. We created the Dix Crisis Center. I think our statistics now show that we should be eligible for moving forward with a 23-hour facility if DHHS approves that. So I think we need that. We need to triage people out of a 23-hour facility in if they need a bed, and then they need to be referred to whatever other services is a part of their plan. So I think opioids is connected to this problem of child abuse a lot of times. And so, you know, the number of social workers we've had to increase there, and I think that will probably be, unfortunately, be a trend as a result of all the shutdowns and the COVID and the isolation that people felt during this period of time.
And Mr. Foster.
First is no more shutdowns, because that's where we saw we lost a lot of kids because of that. They were not in their schools. They were not seen by their teachers. And the other part that I find is so important, and the Onslow County School System has already taken some of the funding and done that, they have increased the number of social workers in the schools, and that needs to continue and needs to be funded, because the social workers in the schools are the first ones to see the students in need. Put the money where the kids are. The other part of that with the nonprofits is nonprofits are able to do things at a price that the county will never be able to do it for what we give to the nonprofits. And I'll give two specifically, the YMCA and the Boys and Girls, the Brigade Boys and Girls Club. They do things on a daily basis at a price that the county is getting a great deal on with our investment. Put the kids in the hands of the adults with great direction, and when they're not with them, they go home to parents with nonprofits that are providing chew program, food for them, the sustainable things. And as a community, we need to be at the events that volunteer for this to provide money to them and support them in their endeavors.
Thank you. All right, we've come to the end of the Q&A. I'm going to go, we started the opening statement this way. We're going to start the closing statement and go this way. Mr. Price, I'll open up with you.
I'd like to thank the Chamber and Duke Energy, first of all, for conducting the forum today. I am a Christian conservative. The first word dictates the second, kind of guides the second. Christian first, conservative second. I'm a conservative in every aspect of my life. I'm comfortable in that. I don't agonize in that. I have a core belief that I lean on and that is rooted in God's Word. And so that helps me to sleep easy at night, as long as I go forward and I try to reflect those values and push for those issues and care about those things that the Lord cares about. Care about people. And that's what I've tried to do my entire life, care about people. And so I ask for your support on May 17th, if not before, if you're voting early. April 28th begins the early voting. Thank you.
Mr. Foster.
Thank you, Elliot. Thank you, Lachey. Thank you to the Chamber for having us here tonight. Onslow County, or this afternoon or morning, whenever you're viewing this, Onslow County is a great place to live, work, and raise a family. I will continue to work to ensure it remains as such, a place for our children, our grandchildren, a place where people come but do not want to leave. I've been a part of the leadership that has carried us through the aftermath of Florence, COVID shutdowns, the pandemic. I look forward in continuing to serve you now that we have made it through these unprecedented times. The future is bright. And I want you to remember, opinions are just that. They're opinions. Opinions have no outcomes, but when they become decisions, you'll find people are telling you what you want to hear because they think that's what you want. We need leaders that will make the tough decisions, not necessarily the popular decisions. We need statesmen, not politicians. We need to be willing to make the hard decision when the people are looking at us, fussing at us, but we know in our heart this is what's good for Onslow County.
Ms. Carpenter.
Thank you. I've always believed that having the person for the right job is the most important thing to do. The person that's the most qualified, the person that can offer the best skill set and abilities. And you know what? I feel like that's me. I feel like, so I say that and I say, I am the only woman that's running for this office right now. So I wouldn't say gender is always critical. However, I do know that having a female perspective is important because God made me different, because I have different life experiences that I feel like I can bring to the table. I'm an outsider here. Besides that, I've lived here since 2011. Some might call that a disadvantage. I think it's an advantage. I'm married to a military man, retired Navy, not Marine Corps, another difference that I think is a great asset. The one thing that I think is the greatest asset, though, is I've had a ton of years in sales and customer service, and I really do care about people. I'm great at asking questions and working hard for what I know to be right.
Mr. Cayley.
Okay. Thank you again for having me here today as well. All right. Appreciate that. If you want to find out more about me, come out to Halls Run Community Building this coming Saturday from 11 to 2, 896 Halls Run Road. And I'm having a campaign meeting and inviting anybody that wants to come out. But when it comes back to transparency, I'm going to give you an example. I've been to 2 budget meetings, and I sat quietly through them all. Okay? But I had one county commissioner ask a question, and then I got another county commissioner coming back and saying, nope, we're done talking about that. We're going to move on, okay? That's what I'm talking about transparency. When you got one county commissioner wanting to get the answers for how we're going to spend the money, then they need to finish talking about that topic before they move on to the next stepping stone. I don't like that being shut off at the knees because they don't want to talk about it. We're here to get the answers. I'm here to work for the citizens of Onslow County, and that's what I'm going to do, fighting for our community.
Mr. Bennett.
Thank you, Elliot, and the Chamber. I've enjoyed our time together this afternoon. I hope it's been informative for you. Like many of you all my life, I've started at the bottom. And as a police officer, I started on patrol at the bottom, and I worked my way up. In business, I've always started at the bottom and worked my way up. My campaign starts at the bottom. It's a grassroots campaign, out talking to people. As a commissioner, I will work to control your spending. I'll start at the bottom. To create prosperity, I'll start at the bottom, working with small businesses and startups to bring them into Onslow County and help them succeed. And I'll start at the bottom, working on community needs, the things that the community needs the most. On May the 17th, I got to start at the bottom one more time. Because of the luck of the draw, my name will be the last one on the ballot. So I'm going to ask you to help me one more time. I'm going to start at the bottom and vote for Royce Bennett for County Commissioner. Thank you so much.
Okay, with that, and I do want to say, I want to again point out that our timekeeper, Lachey, has been flawless. It's been unbelievable. She did a great job, and thank you to the candidates.
Also want to thank our candidates for joining us and thank the City of Jacksonville for these wonderful facilities and their media services, and of course our sponsor, Duke Energy. Now, if you miss any part of the Forum Onslow, just check the listings for G10 for the rebroadcast dates and times. You can also find these forums on YouTube. But remember, most of all, your vote has power. Absentee ballot request forms are now available online at the Onslow County Board of Elections website, as well as the dates, times, and locations for early one-stop voting. Election day is May 17th, 6:30 a.m., 7:30 p.m. at your local precinct. On behalf of the Jacksonville Onslow Chamber of Commerce, thank you for joining us for this Meet the Candidates Forum, and we do stand adjourned.